All right, we are back for another episode. Man, this is pretty cool because we're improving things.
Yes, we got a new setup.
We got a new table.
Yep.
Man, we got new mics. We're kind of,
Yes.
man, we're kind of becoming a little professional on this.
Almost,
I think.
yeah.
I know. We even got a new sign in the back.
Sign looks great.
So Ian, I think, is doing a great job getting
Yes,
everything
yes.
kind of set up. It's almost like he knows what he's doing.
Yes.
So, or something like that. But so we appreciate Ian a ton. So he's doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes that nobody
and the
ever
shirt.
sees.
Let's talk about your shirt.
We've
Show
got
the
the
shirt.
shirts. I got the shirts.
Music
so
Retail Show shirt.
I know. So everybody.
People have asked, where do we get one? And I don't know.
We don't. We eventually.
I hope so.
Yeah, eventually.
We've got 10 of them, and we've given a few of them away, and I don't know where people can get them yet.
Yeah, we have a
So
supply and demand problem.
Well,
People
a little
are
bit of
demanding,
supply.
and we have no
yeah.
supply.
Well,
Well, yeah, whatever. So anyway, so we're jumping into the episode. So we're having a lot of fun doing this, but we're going to do something a little bit more personal today.
Yes.
So something that I think you have a lot to say and a lot to talk about.
There's a surprise there.
Yes, that's exactly right. But you want to talk about taking care of your family in the midst of doing business. It's a big topic. Maybe
it's
something
a big topic,
that a lot of people kind of maybe don't think about or don't address. So let's just kind of jump right in. How do you think this is an important topic?
I think it's probably one of the most important topics that we can talk about, and it's probably a topic that has taken me most of my life to get a little bit of a grasp on. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still, I see a lot of room for improvement, but I think it's something that we need to stop what we're doing and think about this, especially for all the young people out there that are starting in business or they're new in their career, or if they're older and they haven't paid attention, they could just start now.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, this is not something necessarily for people who have been in business for years.
No.
This is for people who, hey, here's some things to think about going right into business, especially as younger business owners that are newly married, that have new kids. So this could be something that could set the path right for years to come.
Sure, we can start there, but it's also for older people. It's for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's including in this, and some of us might be on the backside of our career and we haven't paid attention to it, and maybe this will lighten it up a little bit and you need to start, but it doesn't matter what age, you could start today with it.
Okay, well, cool. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about taking care of your family in the midst of doing business? What's the first thing you think we need to talk about?
And I'll start off by going with a little bit of experience. Early on in my career, I felt like my role was just as a man, just to provide for your family.
Okay.
And so that was my main task. Obviously we want to take care of our families in every way possible, but I felt like my main purpose was to provide and bring home a paycheck and make sure that we had a roof to cover our heads.
Yeah, which is important.
Super important.
But not necessarily the main focus of everything.
No, it's not the only thing.
Okay.
Through the course of marriage and having kids, and even later in my life, and sad to say, maybe over the last couple years, I realized that, wow, what an opportunity that I had to put my family ahead of my career in a way that my family didn't have to suffer. And I'm not saying my family suffered, but there are elements of it that I could have been better. I could have done a better job. I could have been a better father to my kids. I mean, we all can say that, but I really, really focused on my career to bring home a paycheck to my family because I felt like that was my way to provide.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, as you're sitting there, I'm reflecting on my own life and everything that I've done. But one of the biggest issues that probably comes to mind really quickly is we have the tendency who are, people who are driven to want to bring work home.
Absolutely.
There's no real separation. Like you work all day, you work real hard, but then you go, I got to bring this home. and then all of a sudden, it kind of blends into that family time. Do you think there should be more of a separation? What do you think?
Oh, I absolutely do. I mean, we can look on this table, and I have an iPhone, you have a phone, and then you also have an iPad. So we're connected, and we're also connected everywhere we go.
All the time.
And so one thing that I really feel like with men is there's something that we don't address, and that's we have an insecurity to provide, and with that insecurity, that's where our focus lies.
Yeah.
We haven't stopped to realize is like, wait a second, I have a great wife who has provided great kids for me and my family, and I'm focusing on work, and I'm bringing it home, like you mentioned. We're connected with our phones, we're connected by emails. Everywhere we look, we're connected to whatever our object is or wherever our focus is, and so many times that focus is not on our family.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my wife and I, we've made purposeful decisions to, a lot of times, like when I go home, man, I had to get to the point where I had to take my phone and I had to go put it over on the desk next to the bed or something like that. Or I've got a home office too. I put it in the office and I leave it there because it's amazing what it does. You're sitting there at dinner and all of a sudden an email, I get emails through the evening and even into the night. I don't know why some of my clients are trying to email me at 2:00 in the morning, but they are.
Yeah.
And because
they haven't heard this podcast.
That's exactly right. Yeah, get some sleep.
Yeah.
But it's a distraction. I mean, I might turn over to look at my phone, and my wife is talking to me or my kids, and I'm looking at that, and my reaction would be to be, hold on a second, I need to read this, and then I read that, then my brain is going. And I totally lose that vibe, the family vibe.
Yeah.
I need to pay attention to my children. I'm gone all day long.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a purposeful decision that I think a lot of us, we have to make, to take care of our family.
Well, I think you said it best when you said purposeful.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a decision that we have to make. It's also an agreement that we need to make with our spouse that this is the way we choose to live our life.
Yeah.
Yes, it is so important for us to have a career. It's so important for us to put time in at work. But when we unplug, we need to unplug. So many times I see a lot of we'll pick on the men today.
Sure.
But a lot of times I see men and they're at the dinner table and they say, I have to answer this email.
Yeah.
Or hold on, I have to get this phone call.
I've done it.
And all of a sudden they put their work or something else ahead of their family time. And truth be known, when we go back and look at it, do we really have to answer that email? Do we really have to take that call? Instead, we say, I have to. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we put over our family. And that's something that over the last several years has been very, very bothersome to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I realize that in the world that we live in here, we have a lot of online dealers, so there is a tendency to have to work throughout there. But that still does not negate the fact that there should be, taking care of your family, there should be times where you set that aside. I mean,
Absolutely.
You might have to take care of your customers at night because that's when they're buying. But,
Sure.
Dinner times are excellent times to be able to unplug and just connect with your family.
Yeah.
Or, or if you work from home, breakfast is good, or certain times throughout the day to saying, hey, I understand all this is going on, but I've got to connect with my family.
Well, I think something like meals or something in America that we've kind of gotten away from. There's a lot of fast food. There's a lot of eating and running, and we're going. But meals is a time that when we sit down with our families, and we'll use that as an example, that we just need to be purposeful, like you mentioned, to not do that. And I'll tell you a quick story. My daughter, Madison, her and I, we like going out to breakfast, and we kind of have a routine to spend quality time together. Now, when she was 13, 14 years old, it was a little more difficult because she was so plugged into her phone. It was texting. It was, it was just her phone was everything. And I'll never forget, I was in a restaurant, and this was less than a year ago. And I mean, it was a couple years of me going over all this and saying, we need to put our phones down. We don't need to look at our phones. Let's just spend one-on-one time. Let's talk. Let's communicate. And then I'm sitting at a restaurant, and to my left side, over her right shoulder, there was a man sitting with his wife, and they were eating a meal. And the man was on his phone, and he was texting, and he was laughing, and it was, he was engaging with his phone, and his wife was staring at him, and she was sad. And then she began to tear up, and then through the course of the meal, she looked at him, and I was reading her lips, and I can partly hear what she was saying, but she said, "Will you please put that phone away?"
Wow.
And it really caused me to stop what I was doing and just think about it. And then I told my daughter, I said, "Madison, act like you're stretching your back, but turn over and look at this couple over here." And she leaned over and she looked, and she's like, "Dad, that lady is really sad." And I said, "This is what happened." And I can see the impact that it had to my daughter, because it was a teachable moment. It was a moment to where she goes, "Wow, I think I could see the wheels turning. Man, I really understand what my dad is saying." So today, when we go out to eat a meal, whether it's myself or whoever, I turn my phone over. I don't even touch it. I don't even look at it, because if I'm eating with somebody, I want my attention to be on them. I want to focus on them, because that's what it's about. It's about friends, family, and loved ones, and how you connect and you bond with them. And a lot of times what happens is when we're out to those meals, we're constantly thinking about work. We're constantly focusing on that. And who suffers? Our spouse and our children.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Devices have infiltrated our lives, a lot for the good, but also some for the bad, that what we're talking about, that cause us to become connected to them and disconnected. So I was even the other day, I was at flag football practice for my boys, and we were sitting there. I was sitting there watching my son Graham, and a boy walked by, and he's just like, Dad, can I play something on your phone? Can I play something on your phone? And you could see the dad goes, no, we're here to play football. So it's like, it's everywhere, so
it's everybody everywhere.
It's everybody everywhere. And we really do have we have to make a purposeful decision in that, because otherwise, before you know it, man, it's just, it could just, you could be so buried in it, you're like, how do I even get out of this? So.
And I remember, and it's hard to do. I mean, the topic that we're talking about is not easy to make that decision, and something a lot of times we got to get with our spouse and sit down and have the conversation of like, this is what we want it to look like. But I remember several times going home and being stressed out with work. There's just a lot going on in your head, and you just, you're driving home and your brain's moving 100 miles an hour, and you're just you're still plugged into work. And then I remember before I would get home that I would just completely get rid of all of that. So when I walk in the door, my intention and my goal, and sometimes I didn't succeed with it, but my intention and my goal was to just put pause on all of that stuff and be intentional with my family and give them quality time. Because a lot of times, especially if you have young children, they don't understand.
Yeah, sure.
And dad walks in and he's a little grumpy because he's had a stressful day, a hard day. He's had everything hit them at one time. Little kids don't understand what's going on. Your wife, she may or may not work, but say she doesn't and she comes home, she's excited to see you. So you got the kids and you got the wife and you probably got a dog, and everybody's excited to see you, and you're like, I just want to be left alone.
Yeah.
So then you go in and then you go, well, I'm going to go in and watch some TV. And then you go and you disappear into another room, and then you're just completely disconnected from your family. And the support that you're supposed to have or you would like to have, you don't have that anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And who else would you rather share the successes of your business with than the people who have made the sacrifice to allow you to do what you're doing?
Yes. And I have been so guilty not to realize the sacrifices that families make for their fathers or their husbands. A lot of times we look at it and go, well, my children doesn't understand. My wife doesn't work. She doesn't know, or whatever the case may be. Sure. But they are sacrificing. They are giving you time to go do a career or work, or in the case of if you're a business owner, that you're going off to work this business.
Yeah.
So the least that we can do is come home and say, okay, I'm unplugging from that and I'm charging my batteries. This is a time where I charge my batteries because it's too full. You can really charge your batteries and you can also charge their batteries.
That's exactly right. And you know, and I've found for myself that you know, my wife, she stays at home and she's got the kids all day. They really look forward to when I come home from work at the end of the day.
They're young.
Yeah, well, yeah, they do. They're like, Dad coming home's the best time ever.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's, you know, just wait till they're teenagers.
Yeah,
they're not teenagers yet, but you know, but it really is. It really is an important decision, and a lot of times, you know, the drive home, you know, we joke around about how the drive home a lot of times is a time for us to leave work, or we close our business down and we get to breathe. And then, you know, we joke around about, well, I guess I'll drive to Alabama before I go home. But you know, it really is a decision. We get to decide to walk into our homes and connect with our families, put our business behind, unplug from the day and connect with our families, because, you know, it really is a life support system. I mean, can we, you know, how much do our businesses suffer, you know, if in essence our families are suffering at the same time because there's no connection there, because business is just always coming first.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to read her quote. It says, in the end, you only have relational regrets, not possessional. And that's a big thing. And it hit me when I heard this a couple days ago, is so many times I look at successful business people. They're successful. They've got great businesses. They're big in the community. I mean, everybody looks at them, but who's suffering? A lot of times it's their spouse and it's their children.
Yeah.
They've got all the money in the world, but they can't buy happiness at home.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a big deal. I mean, we all know the stories. You know, we can think of a lot of successes and a lot of stories that aren't successful, but you know, truth be told, I mean, I know several people that are very successful that don't know their kids very well.
Yeah.
You know, and so there was a trade-off right there. And so, you know, they're really successful in business, but their personal life is not so successful. And we're saying, hey, wait a second, you don't have to be that way. You can be way more balanced. You know, you can have a successful business and you can also have a very inspiring and, you know, supportive family life that is just enjoyable on both sides.
Yeah.
So
and you know, I think it's hugely important for not only just your family but also for yourself. I mean, I talked earlier about charging your own batteries, and that's something that we're neglecting on ourselves, and we'll talk about ourselves a little bit in a moment. But on ourselves is we're not charging our own batteries.
Yeah.
So we're constantly staying plugged in. We have one track mind, and that's our business or our job.
Yeah.
Instead, it's not about that. And then you unplug, and then you have your family.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think it's a huge problem in America. I think that contributes to divorce rates. Like you mentioned, the kids, a big breakdown of family value as a whole. Because again, as men, we are focused. We are intent on growing or being successful in business.
Yeah.
Or if you're an employee, your goal is to be the best employee you could possibly be.
Yeah.
But everybody else is neglected in the meantime.
Absolutely. Now let's pick on store owners. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, you can be very driven. But then you can also have employees and you can have managers that, you know, do you see the fact that sometimes managers, they might get overworked. The owners might overwork them, might expect a whole lot from them, or staff or something like that, that maybe you're not instilling the family taking care of their family first. You just want to make sure that they're just taking care of your business, and that's it. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and employees is a big part of this as well, is because as an owner, we're kind of a leader. I mean, well, we are the leader, and we should also look at the value that our staff has, and it's a great time to educate and teach and talk to them about it. And I think allowing some of those people time off is very valuable. Here here at MIRC, I sign off on a lot of employees' time off.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've stopped to realize that I do is I let a lot of people off. I'm very, very agreeable in their time off. And I kind of ask myself why, because there's sometimes I don't have to, or I don't need to.
Yeah.
Well, part of it was because earlier on I never took time off. And I look back on it, I go, that was a mistake. I didn't take the vacation that I needed. I didn't take personal time for myself.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that was neglected because I was always like, I got to work. And then it turned into, in some cases, it could be health issues. It could be family problems. There's a whole host of things that can have a trickle down because we're not taking time off. And if you're an owner or a manager, you're not letting employees have time off.
Yeah, and I think it's a big deal. I mean, we have, like, I'm going on a trip with my family this Friday. We're going to Florida. I just have to get out of town. I've got to recharge. I want to spend time with my family. Hannah's looking forward to it. The kids are looking forward to the beach. And it's a time for us just to get out, spend some time together. And it really is a big deal because I have that a lot of times, that work mentality. I'll go through the whole week. We have so much allotted time. It's funny, at the end of the year, I always get paid out on vacation days. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, well, what am I doing? Am I doing, could I be doing some extra fun things throughout the year to spend with my family? But my tendency is no, I need to be at work. I need to be at work. I need to make money, So I'm always thinking that way. But also on the backside of that, am I really thinking as well as I can about my family by not taking that extra time off?
And a lot of times, do you think our kids care? They would much rather hang out than worry about extra money or whatever it is that we're putting our value. And it is important for us to work and make money and have goals and do all these things. We've talked about it a lot lately, but something that is very, very, very important is our family.
Yeah.
And we neglect our family. I mean, we really do. And I would love to see a new generation come up and just start by taking the vacation time that they need, taking personal time, and have an agreement with their family that this is the way we run our household. I was listening to somebody a couple years ago, and it was a husband and wife, and they had these conversations when they just got married. I found it to be brilliant. I wish I would have done that when I was 22, 23 years old. But they go every single year, they go on a week's trip, just the husband and wife without the kids. And during baseball season is usually when they take it. And then they said, hey, we're not going to be here this next week. We're going to actually go on a trip together. And then the other men and women there are going, man, we haven't been out in 14 years or whatever the math is.
Yeah, sure.
And I would love to at least just go out on a date with my spouse. But they do it every year. And they said the reason is one day the kids are going to be out of the house and they don't want to look to each other and go, what was your name again?
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah.
Because we focus so much in the wrong directions.
Yeah.
We're not intentional with the people that we love and we need to be intentional with.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Not that this is supposed to be a marital counseling class.
We should start charging a fee or something.
I know, but that's the other thing too. Is I don't want to obviously don't go down the road, but sometimes we can focus so much on our kids that we neglect our spouses.
Sure.
But like I said, we're not a marital counseling class here. We're supposed to be applying this to business.
Yes.
But yeah. So that's good. We have another great topic that we want to talk about as well. But any other final thoughts?
No, I just want this to be something that not only myself, but all of us, we stop and examine. What would I like my family structure to look like?
Yeah.
How can I be intentional with it? Because all of us value and love our spouses and our children, but we need to be intentional with giving them time. We need to make sure then when we're listening to say our daughter wants to tell us how her day was, that we don't look at our phone, we don't interrupt her, we just listen.
Yeah.
We're available for what they're wanting to share with us, and that we're intentional with everything. Our spouses, our children, it's very, very, very important that we stop being just connected with our business only and the success of it, but reconnect with our families.
Yeah, the success of our business is very much entangled and interconnected with the sex. Did I just say sex? I think I said sex.
Whoops.
That was funny. Maybe we can edit that part out.
Yeah.
But the success of our success of our business is very much intertwined with the success of our home life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was kind of funny. We'll see if that makes it or not.
Yeah. Is there a blooper reel?
Yeah, there needs to be a blooper reel. But anyway, so
So
great.
you're planning on another kid, is what you're talking about?
No, actually, as of right now, that'd be impossible.
Oh.
So I don't know what that means, but it just is.
Down that road.
Okay.
Next topic.
All right. Next topic. All right. So obviously, home life is important, but also we want to jump over and talk about another huge topic, which is about I don't know. Some people might not like this, but about saying I cannot afford to do business with you.
Yes.
There are some people that we just cannot do that.
Absolutely. And I'll tell a brief story.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they're never brief, but I'll tell you a story of where I first learned about this and how impactful it was, and how much it's made a huge difference in my life from that moment on. Back when I worked retail, we had a customer that would come in all the time, and his son took guitar lessons. And so this guy came in, and this guy was rather intimidating. Today I would call him a bully.
Okay.
He was a guy who was like a bodybuilder, and he was wear like a muscle T-shirt, and he kind of was just, he was just a bully. Just the way he acted and the way he talked down to everybody. It was just not a pleasant time to see this guy. I didn't like him just because of the way he talked to you. It was just a negative situation. Anyways, his son wanted a guitar. The funny thing, it was a guitar that we actually really wanted to sell. And I won't get into what it was and who it was made by, but we really wanted to sell this guitar. So he came in, and we discounted this particular product 30% off out of the box. So we marked it down 30%. So he came in while the son was taking lessons, and he was like, hey, I'd really like to buy this. Can you give me a better deal? And of course, we were motivated to sell it. So, I said, well, we could probably do this price. And it was probably 35% off. Well, then he kept beating us up, and he really became very demeaning to us and very disrespectful. And it quickly, it was just no fun dealing with this guy. And I'll never forget, the owner walked up, and I'm briefing this through the course of different transactions and him coming in after a couple weeks of his son taking lessons, and the price we got down, and it was like 40 or 42%. So we weren't making any money, and we were discounting the heck out of this, and it was no fun. And then the owner came up and he goes, you know what? There's sometimes in life where we can't afford to do business with people. And it was very shocking to me, because I have always heard and learned that the customer is always right. And so that was like, it was kind of enlightening to me. And I asked, I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, look at all the time. And we had another sales guy that he was also helping. Look at the time that both of you guys have spent on this guy.
Yeah.
Look at the cost of the guitar that he wants to buy and what we've discounted it to. And he goes, you could have been helping other customers. You could have been selling other things. We can sell this to them, but we're not making much money. I can't afford to do business with this guy.
Yeah.
It'd be better if you guys went out to other customers and instead of wasting all this guy wasting all your time to go sell other things and get on. You guys don't even like dealing with the guy. He's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I'm saying you don't have to sell to this guy if you don't want to, because we're not making any money. And I was shocked, because I was wrestling with the customer is always right, and then the owner telling me you don't have to sell to this guy. So I was really kind of at odds, but I was really kind of excited because I did not like this guy.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I mean, I was like almost giddy inside. So I said, are you sure? And he's like, yes. I don't even want him in my store. And I was like, whoa, he's serious. So anyways, the guy walks in the next time the son had a lesson, and he comes over to beat us up on the price again. And he went on, but this time it was different because I knew I didn't have to sell to him.
Yeah.
So I told him, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't give you a better deal. We're not making any money. You keep coming back week after week, and you keep beating us up on the price. I can't discount it anymore. I don't even want to sell this now.
Didn't you even raise the price from the previous time?
Well, in a second we did. Okay. Because what happened was he was like, well, I can go to this competing music store and I can just buy it from them. But because my son takes lessons, I want to buy it from you.
Yeah.
But it was a tactic. It was a sales tactic. And I finally said, well, if you want to go buy it over there, go buy it over there. And he's like, well, fine, I'll just go over there and get it. And then so when he left, I told the owner what had happened. And he's like, really? So we went and we called the other music store. And
little tag team.
Yeah, and the guy who we called was a pretty rowdy guy.
Yeah.
The owner said, hey, we send this customer down there because he's going to buy this guitar. This is what we quoted him. We don't even want to sell him the guitar anymore. And the other guy says, well, he keeps coming in here too. I don't want to sell. I don't even want him in my store.
Yeah.
And that was what the conversation, probably an hour and a half left. This guy comes walking back into the store. What happened was that other store kicked him out, and they refused to sell it to him. And so he came in, and then he's like, hey, I've come to buy this guitar. And I'm like, well, I can't give you that deal no more. The tag, the way we have it marked, that's what we're going to sell it for.
Yeah, sure.
So it went from 42% back up to 30%, and he ended up buying it. And then after that, he was nice for the rest of the time that I seen him. So.
Yeah. He lost all of his leverage.
Oh man.
So wait, you're kind of bringing up a weird concept. You're saying the customer's not always right?
Not always right. I hate
weird.
that statement.
That's weird. I guess, yeah. I'm sure there's lots of situations where we have to worry more about the health of our business than necessarily if we're actually selling something all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, in the time of the employee, because I mean, a lot of times as owners and managers, we're not looking at our employee and going, how much time is he wasting with this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just talked to a dealer a few minutes ago that had a problem with a customer doing the same thing. This customer came into his store and he ended up buying online. So he spent 2 or 3 times talking about this product, and that customer left and bought it online, and then he came back and asked him another question. So not only did he not make the sale, but that customer went somewhere else because he saved a couple bucks.
Yeah.
Now, was it really worth a couple bucks? So there's a lot of times there's certain types of customers and there's certain people that we can't afford to do business with.
Absolutely. And as I'm sitting there listening to you tell about that situation, it's refreshing to hear about how the owner of the business, that your boss, gave you the freedom to be able to work within that situation.
Absolutely.
So telling you, hey, the customer's not always right. At some point in time, you've got to be working for the business, but giving you that freedom kind of took away the leverage of the customer that was trying to bully you.
It was amazing because our whole goal, and we did a very, very good job, was customer service and helping the customers. We were very, very intentional with all that.
Sure.
And so that was ingrained in us, and that was the way we as staff we worked. We were very successful with it. So when the owner brought that to our attention, it opened up my eyes, not only just for then, but even for today. I mean, a situation that we're actually going through with today. We had a dealer, and I won't get into all the details, but this dealer, it's just a bad, ugly situation. Well, at the end of the day, looking at everything that has gone on with it, we can't afford to do business. We will never ever do business with this guy because we can't afford it, because he's just crushed profits. He's caused a ton ton of problems. And at the end of the day, it's easier to wash our hands and go out because there's a lot of great customers out there that we need to focus on. If we're focusing on a customer that is a pain to our staff and ourselves, and we're not making any money, there's customers out there that we're not focusing on that are good people that are trying to get a good product at a fair price, and we're not focusing on them.
Yeah, that's right. And and even a lot of times we have a saying around here that you've always used is don't make your problems my problems.
Yeah.
And a lot of times customers can walk in the store, they try to use problems as leverage, they try to do scare tactics, they try to bully. But obviously, in the midst of that, store owners giving the freedom to their employees to be able to, hey, I can't afford to do business with everybody. Knowing that whole concept allows to kind of scale back the chaos and the drama and the fear that's kind of built into all of that.
Well, that the owner's got your back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know. The customer's not always right, man. That's Man, I don't know too many. I don't know too many books that I've actually seen that one in.
No.
So the customer is always right. It's just been around forever.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because in today's climate, with everything being so competitive and customers having phones and every way possible to just be focused on the price, we have to be more careful with all that because we have people coming in and milking us and our staff and everybody for information only to go somewhere else, and we need to train our staff, and we need to sometimes get back to asking for the sale because there's a lot of people that we have spent hours with training them, showing them product, only for them to go somewhere else. Very, very unfortunate, but that's something as owners and managers we can do so we could detect that and we could ask for the sale. Yeah,
and obviously on some of our previous episodes, we talked about the concept of not letting anybody walk out of your store.
Sure.
But that's going back and just to kind of rehash that's going back and making sure that your staff is educated, you know what's going on, you know how to address those kind of situations, because there's a big difference between somebody who wants to walk in the store and, hey, I'm interested in buying something. I want a win-win situation. I want to buy the product. And somebody who's coming in and just trying to bleed you dry because they see the sport in it almost. Yeah,
there's a big difference. I mean, there's a certain percentage of people that they're best not to be part of what you're doing. Thankfully, 99% of the people out there, you want them in your store. You want to do business with them. But there's just a very, very small group of people that it's best that you just excuse them. Let them go to your competition. And just say, hey, let's focus on these types of people because they're the ones that are paying the lights.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are making payroll. They're the customers that are actually moving the needle.
Yeah, absolutely. And to also reflect on a previous episode, what a great example of not having the fear of that store down the street.
Yeah.
But where that store down the street, you guys worked in tandem.
Yeah.
And actually created a better situation.
Absolutely.
Neither one felt like they got taken advantage of, and then eventually you use that situation to sell the product for what it was actually worth.
Sure.
So very cool, man. All right, what a cool. I don't know. The customer's not always right. I dig that. So, anyways, I don't know. That's all I've got.
Yeah.
Is that anything else you can think of? No, good episode.
Just to recap it, I would like to see all of our dealers going back to the family topic.
Yeah.
Is to spend quality time. The success of your business is super, super important.
Yeah.
But the success of your family is more important.
There are just some words that are hard to say. That's all I'm saying. My goodness, I don't know. Hey, people, if there are people laughing at this, they need to get behind a microphone and try to say everything correct. My goodness, I don't know. Ian, are you might end up needing to do some editing. I don't know. Maybe maybe
they say
it's good for ratings.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. But anyways, man, great. Family needs to come first.
Yes.
That contributes to the health of our business. And then also at the same time, we need to realize we can't afford to do business with everybody. That contributes to the health of our business.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep. So wrapping this up, we got a new look
Yeah.
We've got more improvements that we're working on.
Yeah.
We've kind of jumped into this really super quick.
Yeah.
You know,
we're trying our hardest.
Yeah, the thought was to do a handful of episodes to get all the bugs out.
Yeah.
But we actually jumped right in there, and we're tweaking things. We're hopefully getting better at doing this. But we appreciate everybody that's listening, tuned in.
Yeah.
Again, we've had some great positive feedback, and we appreciate that. Hopefully this is something that resonates with a lot of our dealers. I think it's super important.
And, you know, and maybe there'll be some surprise guests down the road.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. So, all right. Hey.
I guess we're good.
All right, we're good.
All right.
See you,
So
man.
see you guys in a
Yeah.
couple weeks.